That's such a neat question.
Yeah, that is the best question. We've never had that one.
Magic comes from the fear of death. Every living thing has it. The more fear pumping through the blood, the more power.
First of all, congratulations on the movie. I was watching it last night. It's really a great movie. I mean, a few years back, I made just like for fun, I made a short horror film with my kids as well. They were a lot smaller than Zelda is, and that was a nightmare. Just it was like it was like a competition for like 2 minutes to do a short, and I mean, it got on the big screen, but didn't win or anything. But it was I can appreciate just having done that how hard it must be, not just to create the film, but to create a film as a family, because a family work. They'd say that families shouldn't work together because spending time home is great, but 24/7 working, being a family together is just as much hard work, if not even harder now. So, can you tell me a little bit how you the kind of process that you go through? Who wears which hats? I mean, how do you make sure that too many cooks don't spoil the broth, if you will?
Great question. We've been doing this now for 10 years, so we really know our places. We know each other's strengths. We know each other's weaknesses. And luckily, we all started this with the same dream. So we're all kind of like been equal since day one. And so we talk through the stories together. We come up with ideas together. We never work with too hard of a script. So on set, a lot of things are loosey goosey. Whatever is natural kind of is what's used. We don't need to argue too much about things because we can shoot it three different ways if we want, if there's any
Right.
disagreements. And the editing bay kind of answers which way was the best.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you said that it kind of it's loosey goosey, and you kind of let things go how they maybe weren't supposed to go. At the same time, filming something as a family, and I imagine it kind of, or at least I feel. I mean, having seen the film, I feel like I know you. I mean, obviously it's a fictional piece of work, but I kind of can't help feeling that I know you more than other actors, maybe because I know it's the family. So, are you very kind of conscious, very aware that you kind of sharing quite an intimate part of your family life with the audience, even though it's not actually kind of a documentary of your life, if you know what I mean?
That's such a neat question.
Yeah, that is the best question. We've never had that one.
No.
And I think, yeah, I think and I think we're okay with it. Um, our lives and our art are just so enmeshed at this point, since we've been doing it for so long, that I think one feeds the other, and one strengthens the other. And we're kind of pretty cool with like cracking our chest open and let everyone see what our fears are and what our loves are and how close we are and how strange we are.
Yeah, and I think like as parents, our rule was never lie to your kids. Tell them the truth. If you have drug problems, you tell them you had drug problems. You tell them your emotional struggles. You talk to your kids so that they know who you are. And then when they come up against those problems, they know that they're normal. And I think we feel the same way about the world. So, I mean, the world knows probably more than they want to about us at this
Yeah.
point.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, John. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm kind of like the relationship, the mother daughter relationship there is very much kind of the mother is very protective, as any mother would be, but at the same time, she's never condescending in any way. She'll tell things how they are, explain everything the way it is. She'll even let her get as potty mouthed as she wants to when she wants to. It's kind of and that's kind of pretty much exactly what you just said about your family life as well, no?
That correct. Yeah, I mean Zelda would be good to answer. Zelda, what do you think?
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, from like the filmmaking side of it all, it's been really nice because ever since we started making films, John and Toby have treated my sister and I totally as equals in the filmmaking process, which I think is so beautiful and has had like a great effect on the stories that we create because it's a wonderful multi-generational point of view that goes into our stories. So yeah, and I think it is reflected in the movies as well. I think one could also argue though that the mom in Hellbender is, keeping secrets from Izzy, which in the long run just makes Izzy want to pursue those secrets even more. It's Toby likes to reference it as like a parent hiding the secret like Playboy in the attic, and the child finds it, and the more that like the parent keeps it a secret, the more that the child's going to be like, oh, I want to go into the attic and find more secrets, you know?
Yeah, no, it's exactly. It's like when your parents say, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do that. And it's kind of, you get this drive to want to at least try these things, you know, even though they kind of prohibit things from you, know? Yeah.
Right,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you mentioned there that the kind of the daughters in the family and also the parents, it's a kind of even Stevens in terms of I suppose, writing, directing, and all kinds of things. I know, for example, Zelda, I think you kind of really kind of drove home that you wanted more movement in the film this time, no? Maybe with more, I don't know if you used more drones or these kind of things was your idea?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love the cinematography aspect of filmmaking, and we had just finished our last movie, The Deeper You Dig, and the only like equipment we had was our camera and a tripod. And so as a result, it was pretty like static, you know, maybe some panning, but I've grown up on movies and I've always loved movement. So yeah, we got a bunch of new technology like a Steadicam and a drone, which allowed for movement I never had even imagined before, and it was so fun getting to implement that into our film for the first time. I think it added an extra eye to it.
I did an extra learning curve as well, I imagine. Okay, I imagine a drone is no easy.
Yeah, you know, the first day we were using the drone, I crashed it. So that was terrifying. We just spent a bunch of buckaroos on it, and I thought we were gonna lose it after the first day. I was on a cliff, and I basically, you know, flew it into the cliff, but luckily it got lodged between this cliff and a tree that was coming out of it, and John had to reach down and grab it, and luckily he didn't fall off.
Yeah. That's brilliant. But I mean, everything is so homegrown, which I love so much about the film, because it's such a really polished film. It doesn't feel like you just kind of, it's so homegrown. It really doesn't. Especially, I mean, the kind of the flashbacks or the hallucinations in that film, those were amazing. They really blew my mind. I mean, how did you pull those off? Are they all homegrown as well? Did you do all those effects and those scenes yourself, the editing?
Well, it's a big combination of a lot of things. A bunch of stuff goes in that soup. One is we were lucky enough to be traveling around the United States, and so we had beautiful natural environments that we could film. So we had a lot of great backdrops. Another thing that we've had in all those dream sequences was we had made a happy mistake editing a music video, and once we figured out the architecture of that happy mistake, we utilized it in all of the dream sequences. And the last piece to the puzzle is that we have an effects guy named Trey Lindsay, who, whenever we want something extra, like the key coming through a hand, or like the witches blowing away like dust, he is a yes man who is very versed in all horror. So he can say, oh, that's been done, so be careful. Or he can say, ooh, that kind of has never been done, so let's do it. And he works his butt off on trying to come up with original, genuine effects.
That's what I mean. I mean, it was because it's kind of just a family homegrown production, to see things that that's the reason why it blew me away, because the things that I hadn't seen before. I mean, you mentioned there the smoke and the ash is fantastic. Yeah, it's great.
Fun. That's so great.
Yeah. So, I mean, also, tell me a little about the setting, I think, because I mentioned there that you kind of share your family life in a way from the film, but also I think the setting is all kind of all your own houses. No, I don't know if you actually sneaked into someone's house for the swimming pool scenes or not, but I presume all of the houses were all your own houses, no, or family's houses or friends.
We actually snuck into a couple there, but
oh, you did,
but no, we didn't.
Just to get the drone back, no.
But no, we didn't, right, Zell? Remember that day? Remember that day when we didn't sneak into that house?
Yeah, definitely. We didn't sneak into that at all. What? But yeah, a lot of it is shot right in our backyard or in our neighbors' houses, our grandparents' houses, or local abandoned houses around us. And so that's where majority of it is shot. which makes it really easy because we can be eating lunch and then it's like, all right, let's go shoot this scene. The sun is perfect right now. The clouds are perfect right now. But also a lot of the locations are in the Pacific Northwest or in Yellowstone or Maine, because this was shot during COVID while I was all remote for school. So we bought a truck and a trailer and decided to travel around and get some beautiful cinematic scenes into the film. So a lot of like the rainforest scenes that you see are in Portland and Washington.
Right. And I want to talk a little about the seed of the film, because I believe that the seed of the film actually came from, I think it was Toby. You found out that you'd been donor conceived now, and I won't ask why, but you kind of got this idea, I think between all of you kind of imagined that maybe he was the devil incarnate, no? And then, but then it turned out you found out eventually that he was a very nice Jewish doctor, and you were kind of relieved. But is that actually how it all came about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we found out, at age 50, I found out I was donor conceived, and then I set out to finding who my biological father was, and so we just really started having fun, guessing who that man was, and it was just wonderful story kindling. Thinking horror-wise, well, maybe he was a serial killer, and what if he was the devil? Because I'm so evil, can't you tell? And so we thought, well, maybe devil is Zelda. Maybe Zelda is the devil's daughter. And yeah, we were going in that direction, and then.
But it was really fun to like watch her. One of the fun themes about the movie is that, like, is it nature versus nurture? And that was what was interesting about our actual life with Toby, was being like, oh my God, when we started meeting her new brothers and sisters, we got to see how much was nature and how much was nurture. And that was really interesting, because it turns out that, yes, they are all really nice sons and daughters of a very nice Jewish doctor. Because they got the nicest DNA.
Made a worm. Are your friends okay? You've opened a door that, once it's open, it can be hard to shut.
You play music in this band called Hellbender in the film. I get the feeling that you like to jam as well offset. Is that true? Would that be true?
Go ahead, Z. Take it away, kid.
No, absolutely. We've been all like a band together for a long, long time. It started when I was around 7 or 8. I started playing drums, and then John and I formed a band together. It used to be called Kid California, but it sort of evolved into our next band called Hellbender, but all of the E's are 6s, so we get that 6
I think that's in the
action.
last trailer. I think I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and then Toby and Lulu started getting involved with the singing aspect of it too. I fell in love with singing, and all of our music styles they just kind of sort of combined, and Hellbender was born. And we started making music videos because, as a filmmaking family, we had to put visuals to our music. Yeah. And a lot of those music videos actually inspired Hellbender.
Mm-hmm. And are you actually recording music to release professionally?
Well, because of Hellbender, we're being released by a company called Ship to Shore, and they're going to put out a vinyl album with 23 songs, because we wrote 23 songs for the movie, but they all didn't make it, but they're all Hellbender informed. So it's a really fun soundtrack. And now we continue to write, and our next movie, which is called When the Devil Roams, our musical sound has really been boiled down to just the solid rocks right now. We have a sound that's very singular, and we're very happy about it. So it's a lot of fun. It never stops. That's the rule. No stopping.
And I'm interested in how you write the music for the films. Does the music come first, or does it come later on?
It's a combination, and that's a really great question. I like to edit to music, so we definitely have a lot of songs that, like, as soon as we know what our movie idea is, we write like crazy, and we record like crazy. And then as we move along, and we know that we're missing some music, we'll write for the movie. But always the first thing that happens whenever we come up with our movie idea is a ton of songs are written while we're kind of in pre-production.
Mm-hmm. just to kind of get you into the mood of being on set and getting into character, no?
Yeah, absolutely, and it also kind of informs the tone of the movie. Like with Hellbender, it really helped because we could see very quickly that we wanted, even though it was going to be a dark movie, because of the music, we could tell that it was going to be a fun movie too. And it was going to be driven with a heartbeat of fun to it. And so the music that was written for it definitely is upbeat, it's fun, it's funny, it's punk rock, it's like party punk kind of wild.
I shouldn't have kept this from you. It was a mistake.
Liar. I know the truth, Mom.
I did what I was taught to do.
Winter eats fall, fall eats summer, summer eats spring, and spring eats winter.
You mentioned that you got another film in the works. Is that something that you've been writing during COVID? Would you say that COVID's really kind of funneled into that and created something a bit more with maybe a bit more angst or something? Have you noticed your writing kind of changed because I don't know, because of your filmmaking beforehand, it was kind of very homegrown anyway. I imagine maybe it's fairly similar now than it was back before COVID, no?
Yeah, I think COVID just makes us the same as we've always been. Like, we wanted to branch out and get a little bigger, but COVID said, nope, you're not going to branch out. Actually, Zelda came up with our latest movie idea. I'm not sure how you came up with it, Z. How did you come up with it?
We had just finished Hellbender, and since we're always making movies, right when we finish one, we're like, all right, we got to get cranking on our next one. So we were on like a road trip. I think we were going to Massachusetts, and just kind of pumped this one out. And then this one, I think this is only our second movie where we're actually playing father, mother, and daughter, which is really interesting. But yeah, we definitely want to stay on the smaller scale, stay true to ourselves, because we've realized that's where we honestly are best. With Hellbender, we wanted to have a bigger production, but COVID said no way. And I'm really happy that it did that, because I think it turned out for the better.
Have you actually had any offers from other people, from producers, maybe to say, hey, we'd like you to do something bigger, maybe with some other actors as well to join in? Is that something that has come across your path?
Yeah, we're starting to speak to to several people about that, and it's fun. It's fun to consider, and I think that there actually are a lot of like-minded people out there, so it'll be really fun to explore that.
Brilliant. And so we're just about out of time. So I'll leave you with this. The last question I want to ask is, how many worms were harmed during the filming of Hellbender?
Zero.
When you work with Zelda, you do not harm any living being. And so every single worm had they worked for about 20 minutes and then back to the soil.
I thought you were going to say for $20. 20 minutes. It's been really good to speak to you. I love the film to bits. Can't wait for people to see it. And I look forward to speaking to you about this next project that you've got in the works.
Thank you so much.
That would be wonderful.
All right.
I'll give them hell.
I just want others to be people. It's not a gift, Izzy.
Then why was it given?
I'm not afraid of you, Izzy.
You will be.